That's everyone tuning in on Spotify, if you're tuning in on Spotify, or wherever you're tuning in from.
On all the
How you
platforms.
doing? Merry Christmas.
Damn straight.
We're getting close to New Year's now, dude.
Man, not too far, man. It's absolutely flown by this Christmas break as well. I don't know, how was your Christmas? Good one?
Mine was good.
Yeah.
I just ate a lot of food.
Typical Italian
Seriously, dude.
cuisine. I saw some of those photos of yours. Looked absolutely amazing.
Dude, I ate so much food. It's crazy. I was trying to cut down to abs before this happened, and I just couldn't make it. During December, it's like beers are on. Everyone wants to go out drinking, eating. They want to do lunches, and then you've got Christmas lunch, and then you've got New Year's coming. It's just too hard.
It's not possible, man.
No, I should have I did start the cut earlier, but obviously I come back from Italy as well, so I made
a notorious carb hotspot.
Oh man, I went from 72 all the way to 76. I dropped back down to 72, and then just December hit, and it was just chaos. So I've been bouncing up and down. I haven't been able to get there.
There's nothing you can do. As soon as December comes around, I don't know what it is, but 4 p.m. on a work day in December, it's like beers. Everyone's up for it as well.
Beers after work on a Friday in December, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it.
It's like freedom manifest, man. It's so good. It's lovely. But the crazy thing is I was actually talking to someone about this. I wish we had the typical snowy type of Christmas that you see, all Hollywood media or America has, all that. It's really fucking hard going onto these beers at 5 p.m. on a Friday when it's 40 degrees. It's an effort, man. We had it here. It was Monday on the 23rd. 23rd was 44, 45 degrees.
Here's the thing. I said the same thing. I thought, look, for me, Christmas seems to make more sense during winter. But then I was thinking about it. If we had a winter Christmas, that means every other holiday, you wouldn't be out in the sun. You'd be indoors, right?
Ooh, I get you. At least this way, it's June, July when you get that break. For most people, go travel elsewhere where it's still summer. But here, you get this nice break where the sun's out. You go to the beach, a beach Christmas type thing.
Exactly. Imagine if it was you had to stay indoors. It was cold, rainy on the time that you have to take off.
Yeah,
it would.
I get you.
I do agree that a winter Christmas makes more sense for the theme of things, but in terms of having time off, I think that a summer Christmas is way better.
Yeah, I guess we just have to melt in this heat after eating ridiculous amounts of food and heaps of alcohol, just freaking melt into a puddle.
Well, I think it's actually not that bad because it gives you a reason to want to not go too far off the deep end because summer's here. So it's you want to have a decent rig. You don't want to get too far out of shape. Whereas if it's winter, well, fuck it. It's winter.
You're laying her up, man. You're putting layers on.
No one's going to care, dude. But
you're putting some layers on. No one can really tell. Yeah.
But yeah, so man, it's been
good
a while.
To be back.
It is good to be back. We haven't potted for a while. We had an absolute banger of a episode 7 last time with the we had the Panther and all that sort of stuff. I actually need to break that down into a few clips because a few people messaged me and they're like, man, this is probably one of the best episodes you've ever done. Yeah. And it was because we put that structure in place for how we're
just
doing
a little bit of organization. And it's funny that it took us so long to realize that when all the books that we have, all the shit we read talks about discipline, structure, and order. And then we have the most chaotic element to a freaking podcast. It never made any sense.
Literally, it's everything else, we got it all in shape. Yeah. It all works sense. It follows an order. And then we just get on. We just start talking random shit.
Just wing it.
It's crazy.
And we just kept circling the same things all the time as well. Well, at least now, because it's been so long since we touched on anything topical because we have that sort of structure. Now, we haven't even discussed Trump's election win. We haven't discussed Hunter Biden's pardon that he got from his dad. We haven't discussed Anthony Fauci's pardon. Our former catalog has all these wild claims that either me or you have made, conspiracy claims to the moon, that are now being backed up by actual presidential pardons that are being thrown around. Did you know that Biden pardoned a Chinese national who was convicted and serving a sentence for having child images on his devices? The guy was in prison already for that. Biden just commuted his sentence as part of the 1,500 pardons that he did. No explanation for why a convicted, we know we're talking about PDF sort of thing.
PDF file
just got commuted by Biden. Just no explanation for it, no justification for it, nothing. The guy's gone back to China now.
Yeah, very strange. Like, I feel like if you pardon someone, you should have to justify why you're pardoning them.
100%. And then he gave freaking his son like a retroactive pardon for over a decade, man. No pardon like that's ever been done. And the cutoff time was the end of this year. So he gave his son like 2 weeks to just go absolutely wild with it. You can commit any crime he wants in the next, 3 days and still be covered by that pardon.
I never understood a
That's insane.
presidential pardon. Like, why are you given the power to just let someone off of something? I just don't understand where it comes from. That would be an interesting topic to delve into, where the presidential pardon actually came from.
Well, there's a really fascinating thing you could probably pull up quite easily here is just to look at like what number of pardons previous presidents have given over their term, and just to see that what we're going through now is like it's not what it's meant to be, man. He's got like 2,500 on the sheet already. Trump only ever did about 300, I think 353. Obama like 1,200. Most of them were for drug crimes. And the idea is that if you do have that sort of like, if the political landscape has changed and you've changed certain laws to make certain things that were legal now legal, but you've got people in prison still serving sentences for it, that's kind of what it's meant to be for. And you meant to commute their sentence, which meant to say, oh, look, you've served your time already. Laws now changed. Well, there are people in American prisons for like weed possession in states now that completely have legalized it. And yeah, that doesn't quite make sense. So that's what you're supposed to do. Not freaking Chinese nationals. That's not meant to happen.
Yeah, it's very strange. And I guess that makes sense. How wild would it have been if Kamala won, and then at the end of her term, she started pardoning people that she'd actually put in prison for like weed and stuff that she laughed
Mate,
about?
that would have been a great hero arc. She could actually had like a good character arc there, like full circle. Just lets them all out of prison. First day in office. I'm so sorry about that. You served me well. I got into power. Here you go. Here's your freedom.
I don't even know if it would be a hero arc because they got her on camera laughing about it. That's just wild to me.
My favorite one she did was there was a guy who was facing like life sentence for murder, and there was evidence that would exonerate him, but she didn't want to lose a 100% conviction rate as a prosecutor. She had a 100% conviction rate, so she like tampered, withheld, pressured the defense not to like introduce the evidence, even though the guy was innocent. She didn't want to lose a 100% strike rate. So that we dodged a bullet on that, and we haven't even had a chance to even like discuss those things. No, we don't have to do that here either because we've got the structure now. But man, for me, it's just, I don't know. I want to get your thoughts on this at least. For once in my life, sanity prevailed just a little bit, right? Just a little bit. The people who didn't deserve to have something didn't get it. For once in like my adult life, that I feel like that happens. You know, they're unqualified, unelected. She never went through a democratic process. She never won a primary, all those things, and she did not get to be president. It's fantastic.
Well, I think it is very telling about what America, the American people are feeling right now. I think that if you look at previous history, no one really liked her. She did terrible in the polls, and then it was a last-minute rush to try and get her through, you know? So I think that it was clear as day that Trump was going to win, but the media did a very good job at making people nervous.
Incredibly, man. Incredibly. And also, I think the reason why they did that to some extent was so they could keep pulling in the money from the billionaire Democratic donors. A lot of them are pissed. There was a lady went on CNN and she said, like, oh, my donors, my like backers are coming to me saying, what the hell happened? You told us it was close. We gave you money. The money's been spent now. So I think that might have been why they were pushing it as well, to keep raking in the money from the donations, because they knew they were never going to win. But if they admitted that, they would have got no donations.
Well, I think didn't she end up spending like $1 billion?
She was in debt.
Crazy. That's actually
and
crazy.
Also another one, we got to touch on this as well. We got a lot of backlash for a few things in the history of this podcast that I can almost confidently now say I think we were dead right on. You know, the Anthony Fauci one, like him literally lying under oath. He should be in prison already for what he did. He perjured himself. He's getting a pardon now from Biden as well to try and make him immune to that. You know, they did just admit it came from a lab. They did just admit that the mRNA shots weren't effective. All of that stuff's just been like admitted now. No worries. We stuck our necks out. I almost lost my job. Like we really went on the edge to say that stuff at the time. And now it's like just common knowledge.
Yeah, well, I think that at the time it was so nerve-wracking putting our faces out there and saying what we thought. But we also thought that, well, we understand how these things work now. They come out, they call you a conspiracy theorist, they wait 1 to 2, 3 years, and then they give the information. By that point, it's all boiled over, and what's really going to happen now? Nothing.
Yeah, and we're just on some sort of federal watch list. That's how the whole game ends, I suppose.
Yeah, and whatever happened to people that took the vaccine, it is what it is now.
It is what it is, yeah.
You know, like people having heart attacks at 40 years old and stuff like that. Maybe they're just having heart attacks. It's very easy to say, oh, it's from the vaccine. I don't know. It's very, very hard to say.
I've stopped looking into that because it just made me upset, I suppose. But the other one, like I talked to you about, fluoride in the drinking water as well. We're about to have a CDC in America. RFK Jr.'s first thing he wants to do is get the fluoride out of tap water. Second thing he wants to do is stop spraying chemicals for the chemtrail stuff. We talked about both those at a time as if they were this conspiracy theory. I think we're right on both of those.
Absolutely. And the seed oils. The seed oil stuff now is actually come out. And they're saying that they want to go back to lard and they want to go back to tallow as well to try and stop seed oils being used in people's food because it's actually proven that it gives like a bowel cancer or something like that.
Colon cancer.
Colon?
Yeah, it's absolutely wild. And I can't wait to see what happens with the glyphosate stuff because that's another one we got skewered for, man. We got skewered for by all those farmers. I don't know if you remember the backlash we got.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But that's... I was right about that.
It's all confirmed.
It's all confirmed.
Yeah.
And I love it. It gives me confidence on why we do what we do here. Was like, even if you said, we're only about 12 months ahead of the mainstream, that's still an important 12 months. And I don't know if it's like, if people like me and you and others don't talk about this stuff early, don't put your necks out above the parapets, I don't know if mainstream just catches up all by itself. I think we make it catch up because we say it first, people start talking about it, grumbling about it, and then they catch up. So maybe we still need to do this. We still need to be that bit ahead of it to pull the rest ahead.
For sure. And to be fair, if anyone out there is actually going to go and try and find these episodes, you won't find them anymore. We've taken everything down because we rebooted the podcast. Yeah. And a lot of the stuff that was said on there, it didn't, if we were rebooting, it didn't feel right to just leave that stuff out there. So you might see some clips and stuff and go, where is this episode? Yeah. They no longer exist. Yeah.
But the clips are there.
But anyways, we're going to start the first segment of the week. We're going to do shoes on the ground. So do you want to start first or should I start first?
Let me start first because mine's very, very brief. And then I really want you to get into yours because I couldn't help but give a sneaky peek at yours when you were planning it. And it sounded really fascinating. But the one I was going to talk about, I don't know if you heard about this, man, but the boss of the Perth-based gold mining company was detained in West Africa and Mali. They literally seized the guy's passport on gunpoint, took him into custody. And now they're extorting the Australian business $160 million to free the guy. He's been in there for over a month. No one's really heard from him. There's one hostage video where he came out and said oh, they're treating him well. How insane is that? Look, that's ABC's on the link there, just so me and you can. I'm
gonna bring this up quickly.
And I heard about this in November, and we mentioned up an episode earlier, and I was like, I wonder if this is still. It's still happening. This guy is still. Just being detained in Mali in West Africa.
I haven't heard about this at all.
Yeah, there's a few news stories when it happened last month, but he hasn't been released, man.
So I'm just going to read this out.
Yeah, Resolute Mining CEO Terence Holland and executives are detained in Mali as his family waits for news. What the heck? How insane is this? So they're basically claiming that they expanded their operations in the country. They paid all the right fees. They did all the things they were supposed to do, but then they got more profit than they were expecting to. And now the West African countries pissed that they didn't get their dividend. They want more cut of it. And their solution is just to basically kidnap the freaking executive.
So I don't understand though. So he's currently kidnapped.
Yes.
And WA's... So what is this? The boss of Perth-based mining company who's been detained in Africa has not been harmed and is being looked after, in quotations, according to WA's Premier. The African-focused gold miner Resolute Mining has confirmed 3 of its executive employees, including CEO Terence Holland, have been detained in Mali by government officials. Resolute said the executives were in Mali's capital, Bamako, to hold discussions with mining and tax authorities regarding Resolute's in-country business practices and to progress open claims made against Resolute, which the company maintains are unsubstantiated. Following the conclusion of these meetings on Friday, November 8th, the 3 employees were unexpectedly detained. Yeah. Resolute said in a statement that they are to the ASX on Monday.
Yeah. So, dude, basically, it's like they didn't get what they wanted from them, and they just kidnapped them.
Man, I mean,
And you're like the chief executive of a money. This guy's like wealthy as fuck, and he just gets detained like that. It's such a crazy thing. No one even talks about it right now. As far as I'm concerned, he's still there. I looked for more up to date news on him.
so Premier Roger Cook said Perth miner Terry Holohan had not come to harm and was being looked after. It does underpin and underscore just how risky these jurisdictions are when it comes to undertaking these industries.
Bro, this is pure thuggery, man. Like, they're trying to make it seem like it's like a standard business thing. Oh, yeah, it's the risk of the job to just be detained in West African Mali by, like, freaking, you know?
Well, I mean, do you know what's so funny?
Rebel government.
They went to the government and were just like, "Oi, can we negotiate?" And they're essentially just like cowboys. They're like, "Yeah, we'll negotiate."
Yeah.
And it's like, no, the negotiation didn't go how we want. You're detained now.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck.
That's it. You ain't leaving.
In the West, you just would not expect that. But I guess
or is that actually still what happens even in the West? Like, we don't know what these like, you know, upper level business dealings are like at these sort of stakes.
Well, I think that in the West, it's not that things just go smoothly and you can just deny, but like pressure gets put on you in different ways, where over there, they're like, well, we'll just hold you at ransom. Like if we don't get what we want. But the craziest thing is that after this happened, well, the relationship's going to be completely soured and things are going to go bad on both sides.
Also, I just got to say, like, how weak is the perception of Australia now in some of these countries that they can literally just detain an Australian mining executive and hold him for ransom? Like, you weren't hearing about this before. Have we actually lost our like global reputation a bit? I don't know about you, but I think seeing Anthony Albanese cry on stage after he lost the voice referendum, literally cry tears in a press conference, may have made us look pretty weak to countries like in West Africa.
Oh, I've been saying from the get-go, I think he's a soy boy.
Yeah.
And here's
this
the thing.
is what happens when we have soy boys leading you. I think this is crazy. They just kidnapped Australian citizens, holding them for ransom.
Here's the thing, is that I voted for Labor. I voted Labor. I voted for Labor because I thought ScoMo, absolute scumbag, and Labor, it'd be nice to get a change up.
And it'd been so long as well. You thought to yourself probably like, surely they can't do much worse than these guys that currently have.
Well, here's the thing, is that I've been listening to a lot of, I guess you'd call it right media, and they're just criticizing the Albanese government. But then you listen to guys like Friendly Geordies, and he's like, no, this is just an active campaign to try and smear the good work that the Labor Party is doing. But if you look at the state of where Australia is, even on Reddit,
worse, man.
People on Reddit are like, I literally can't afford like anything. I'm going to be homeless soon. And it's like, fuck.
Yeah.
Is it really a smear campaign, or is it just
it's
a state of
general
things?
reality, man?
Yeah.
Like I think, and I've been trying to get my head around this as well. I think that Labor, like, good intentions, bad outcomes. I think it's always been that way. And Liberals always called them bad economic managers. And I remember when I was younger, I was like, fuck, get out of here, man. Like, that's such a pointless smear. But every time they've been in power, this sort of thing seems to happen. They overspend with the government. They put us into a deficit and they make inflation happen. Every policy that they had, first home buyer grant, increase the price of home builds. Solar panel grant, increase the price of solar panel. They just cannot comprehend in their minds that if you give people more money, they all spend the money, prices go up. That is like bare economic policy. If me and you both have $1 million and we both want to buy something, what price can that thing be? It can be $1 million because we both have it. That's just simple economics, and they don't get that. They don't get it. And you know what they did recently? This is meant to benefit me too, by the way. They just paid off a good chunk of my HECS. They did. You think to yourself, that's great, Darko. How can you be upset about that? How about this? They took my money that I made, taxed me off it to pay off my HECS, indexed it, gave that money to the banks and the people who hold the interest loan, and then took more money from my taxes and gave that back to me.
It's crazy.
You took it from me twice.
Yep.
What do you mean oh, look, we helped you out. You took more tax dollars. Go get the money back from the bankers. Instead, they just took more money from the tax, and now they're saying we're in a deficit. bonkers, man.
It's the mental
Bonkers.
gymnastics that they do to make it appear like they're helping you out, but they've actually just robbed your pocket twice and then given you your own money back.
Your
It's
own money
crazy.
back.
Do you know what's nuts as well? Is that currently, like, the energy crisis, they were trying to say when those blackouts and stuff were happening over in New South Wales or wherever it was, they were like, yeah, it's because of coal, like the coal plants aren't working, but they're
Bullshit.
actively trying to stop the coal plants. So they're getting told, these coal plants, that they're going to be shut down and that we're going full renewable. The renewable grid can't keep up with it. So then when it goes down because the renewables aren't working, they rely on coal. And then they're trying to say that coal's the problem. I'm like,
Yeah.
you fucking need the coal and gas, but then they won't let people do any mining. We've got an abundance of gas here, and they're just like, nah, we're not doing gas. They're banning fucking gas. And then now we export a good majority of it, and we've got no way to keep it here. So then what are they doing? They're building plants to import the gas back for a higher price. This is fucking insanity, bro.
Insanity. And it's all just to say that we don't have emissions. We've reduced our emissions. This sort of like freaking, dick swinging on the international stage about emissions and CO2s and stuff, while your own citizens are struggling to literally pay for the energy bills.
Yeah, literally. Meanwhile,
Insane.
other nations are burning coal and gas. Their prices are low and they're fucking booming. And
Yeah.
we're here paying prices through the roof. Listen, I'm all for renewable energy, and I think it is the future. You can't fucking do it by just cutting everything off and then just expecting everything else to be able to keep up. It just doesn't work like that, man.
Also, I think we're still like decades away from being able to actually change the full grid. And this is the thing, right? If we were, let's say, the 1850s, and we wanted to switch to renewables, the energy demands are so low, you could slowly build out your infrastructure. You can expand it as your energy needs increase. Instead, you've reached humanity's peak need for electricity. It's never been higher, and now you're trying to swap it. And you're trying to swap it faster than it took to build the first fucking thing. It's so stupid, man. It can't work. I don't care if you think the planet's going to get flooded in 30, 40 years, even though the coastline has not risen at all in the last 100 years. Like, I don't care what you think the consequences are. This cannot work. It won't work. You're just going to kill a lot of people, especially poor and elderly people. They already are. In UK, they're cutting people's power off during one of their winters, and they had elderly people dying, freezing in their homes.
But back on topic.
Back on top of it, this one is like, last thing I saw about this is that they're putting together $160 million ransom package, basically. That's not how they're saying that. It's a tax payment. Resolute Mining.
So Resolute Mining are going to pay
To get these people out.
government 160 million to
Release
free
the hostages,
this guy.
but that's not how it's being put. If you put it in Google, it's like, oh yeah, we're doing a tax. We're paying our taxes that they think we are, something like that. But it's basically, it's the ransom. They're putting together the ransom.
So and there's only been one video of this guy coming out saying that he's fine.
Yeah, one post where it's like, yeah, they treat me well. It was in the West Australian.
It's a wild situation, but like, do I really care? Not really. Like, like in this situation, do you care that this is happening? Kind of. It has some overarching consequences because this government is essentially saying, we don't care about democracy and how things...
Rule of law.
Yeah, rule of law. We're just going to do whatever we want and you're going to pay us the money.
Yeah.
That is the part where you should be worried. But at the same time, I don't know, you sort of... Are these, I don't know anything about Mali, but are these guys criminals? Who are they? I don't even know.
It's in West Africa, so my guess is probably it's like a rebel government that was formed quite recently. I'd say that's probably a fair bet. If you're in there, I hate to have any West Africans tuning in here now thinking I've completely butchered that, but that's my guess.
Yeah, I don't know enough about it to really comment here. Like, it's terrible that he's been captured.
Dude, their stock plunged by 30% almost after the news came out.
Dude, it might be a good buy right now.
If they're about to release
This is not financial advice. But if it actually... What was the stock at before? We should see what the stock was at.
But if you make a killing based on like a hostage situation off a mining exec, that would be absolutely hilarious, man.
What is it? What's the saying that you say? Buy the news, or what was it?
Oh, it's what is it?
Sell the news, buy the fucking...
Buy the rumor, sell the news, something like that.
Something like that. But that's interesting, dude. We should...
No, buy the hype, sell the news. That's
what is the what's the ASX stock for that? Do you know what it is?
Resolute Mining? I think if you just put Resolute Mining, you should be able to find it.
I swear I was looking at Resolute for a little while there, actually. Darko absolutely dying over here right now. And this fucker's going to make me fix all this up in post as well. Fucking 3 hours worth of work. Bro, you need to get... Don't put it on the fucking... Yeah, that's all right. This guy, I was going to say, you might want to take that off. Sorry, guys. Our current situation, he's fully getting naked. Darko's fully gone scuffed mode over there. It is very hot in here, but yeah, maybe just leave it unbuttoned a little bit or something like that. But yeah, I'm gonna try and. I gotta find out what Resolute Mining is actually like. What's their share price? Resolute, is it Resolute Mining? Yeah. Share price. Let's see what they're actually at, because this is probably a fucking great buy. It's at what, 40 cents. This is year to date. So it was at 83 cents. Dude, this is actually a buy. It's halved. It's halved in. Is this like big brain play, or am I actually going to get like?
Well, the 160. My guess is that 160 mil that they have to pay them out is probably going to hit the bottom line to some extent for this like quarter, right? Because it comes out the company's bottom line. So 160 million for Resolute. What's their normal sort of net profit? Like, is this really going to eat into them hard? Like, is this like half their freaking revenue?
This is really interesting. Thanks for bringing this up, actually, because I'm going to look into this, because this might actually be a long-term buy hold.
Oh, a long-term for
like
sure.
Long-term hold,
Yeah,
because
it's not always going to be the case. They're not going to go back there. There's no fucking way the guy flies back into Mali for the rest of his life.
No, the only thing that's in jeopardy is the mine itself.
Yes,
what happens here? You know,
I think they said it's about 80% of that sort of mine is they have the stake. The government has the other 20% or something like that. Sometimes you have to do those sort of trades. But I want to see what Mali's government is like as well.
Interesting. All right, so shall we move on to the next one? So
yeah, but you said one thing as well about like why is this one important? Well, firstly, it's local news. It's probably the craziest local news story I could find.
Hang on, this guy's in Perth?
This is
Perth.
This is Perth based.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah,
I
bro,
didn't
this
even
is like
realize.
right in our backyard, man.
There you go.
Yeah,
That's
this
crazy.
is Perth based. That Roger Cook guy gave the most limp dick answer I've ever heard a premier give. You are the leader. One of your freaking residents of your state has been kidnapped by basically, thugs and being extorted, and you're like, yeah, should be fine. He's been treated. He's been looked after. What a limp dick response, man.
Yeah.
To
be fair, though, this guy didn't get elected either.
Yeah,
he wasn't.
Oh my God,
Roger Cook
right?
wasn't elected,
He was just a freaking COVID czar who came in and fucking runs our government now.
Yeah. What was he? The vaccine commander?
He was,
that him?
Yeah, that was him.
Cringe,
dude, that's
bro.
who our freaking premier is right now, man.
Bro.
Has been for the last like 3 years. McGowan won, fucked his secretary and bounced.
I actually
Apparently he lives with her now.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Have you heard that?
I have heard that. I have heard that.
Oh my lord.
Interesting, but I have not verifiable, so this is just opinions. And
rumors, rumors, don't sue us.
do not buy Resolute shares on this podcast. This is not financial advice.
Yeah, we don't know yet. I still need to see what's happening in Mali, what their government
I'll need to look into this a little bit more, because this actually might be an interesting play. But what I was going to talk about is it was about a month ago now. I wanted to talk about it that week because there was a lot of talks about it on Reddit. But David Goggins came to Perth, and we bought tickets. I think it was about $100, $140 a ticket or something like that to go see. And essentially, it was an all-day event. It was pitched as this
change your life type stuff.
Yeah, kind of like come here. It's all about mindset. We've got all these great guest speakers and stuff. And there was actually a couple of speakers, but essentially what it was is you went there, and I think it started at 8 o'clock. And then essentially for the rest of the day, it was just people trying to scam you out of money, which is just crazy. And I've got a couple of notes that I wrote here.
Where was the event?
HBF Arena, I think it was.
So it's not they just took out a random park somewhere. That's like pretty high class venue as well.
No, it was a big venue, yeah. So essentially what they did is the whole day, it was all these other people talking, and there was like maybe one or two people. I think there was like Stephanie Rice, and I can't remember the other gentleman's name. But then Goggins came right at the end at about 4:30, 5 o'clock, and spoke for like an hour, and then did questions, and then bounced. But yeah, these other guys, man, they were trying to sell people like courses for like, one of them was selling you a internet, like it was an advertising thing. It was a 50 grand. They wanted you to pay 50 grand to go through this guy. And another one of these guys started up. So essentially 8:30 to 5:30, and Goggins was on for the last hour. So spent about 6 hours listening to Ethan Donati, which is the guy that was selling the the
All the
advertising,
courses.
50K, and the other guy,
He spoke for 6 hours, that guy.
no, it was multiple speakers
Ah,
throughout
yeah,
the day. There was this other American dude that was absolute snake oil salesman as well. The worst one, that guy was called JT Fox. The worst one, dude, was this guy called Aaron Sansoni. Oh my god, this guy is an absolute fucking diabolical human being, bro. So he gets on there, right? And he acted as if he wasn't supposed to be there for the day. He was like, oh, Ethan said, calm down. And he's like, he did this whole startup spiel. I wasn't going to be here, but I was like, oh, whatever. I'll fly in. I'll do this because I want to help out the people, blah, blah. He's like, look, I'm not here to sell you a get rich quick. I don't want, that's not what, if that's what you want, then don't listen to me. And he swears and tries to make you feel like you're a part of this team. Like, oh yeah, I'm here to help you out. And then he gives this bro, it was like an hour and a half monologue. He was like, I don't have much time. He just kept saying, I don't have much time to be here, but I want to show you this. Didn't have much time to be here. He had a full fucking PowerPoint presentation, right? All of it. He had people giving their testimonies and all this sort of shit. I was like, bro, you didn't have time. You reckon you just flew in? Had the full setup. He gave this sad sob story about how he wasn't always rich. His mum was a single mother, all this sort of stuff. And he's like, so listen, if you want help to get you there, I'm going to do it. All you need to do, buy my course. It's $5,000. Went full from I'm not going to charge you anything, get rich quick, to using all these examples of I've known Ethan for a year. I've known Aaron for a year. This is what happened. Now I've got these businesses. And for you,
my dick grew 2 inches.
Literally. And he's like, for today only, this course is usually worth 10 grand. I'm going to drop it to $5,000. But for the first 100 people that go out there, I'm going to do it for $2,500. You get one free call with me, blah, blah, blah. We're going to help you out this much. I was like, bro, you just went full fucking scam artist right at the end after this tactic of, when you go on a sale or a website and they're like 50% off, just for today only, and it makes you feel like
dopamine. FOMO kicks in as well, fear of missing out.
So he used that manipulation tactic by saying this isn't a get rich quick, gave his backstory, and then kept saying, listen, I can't talk for very long. I'm only here. I've only just flown in, just landed the plane. The plane's literally waiting for me to go back. Built it, and then this is your chance. Yeah. I'm only going to discount it for this moment only. Go up and bro, people got out of the stage and fucking ran to the back of it. And I was like, Christ. Are you guys idiots? You're actually getting scammed. Just watching it unfold was crazy, bro. Nah. And this wasn't even the worst part. The part for me was that we got there early because we thought this is going to be an actual positive event. Perhaps they'll give you some good mindsets or something very similar to Goggins, and then it was just a full scam artist.
It's a shame that Goggins is associated with it, but I'm guessing he doesn't he probably doesn't know who the rest of the people are who head these events, right? They pay Goggins to come headline, he sells the tickets, but then they probably don't, he doesn't have much say in who else comes as well, I'm guessing.
Well, here's the thing, right? This is his second year doing it. So I was sort of thinking about this from Goggins' perspective. It's the second year. He's met this Ethan guy before that hosts the event. He's the guy that sells the $50,000 package. So he's met him before. He's come once before. Apparently, from what I was looking at on Reddit, it was the same thing last year. So I read the previous year's post exactly the same. And then I was thinking to myself, man, I love Goggins. You can literally see, I've got his book right here. I love Goggins. And I was thinking to myself, is there some, how do I word this? Should I be disappointed in Goggins associating himself with Ethan Donati 2 years running now, knowing that they're essentially scamming people out of money and they're preying on the weakness of people that are coming to his events to get something out of it? They're trying to change their life, and then he's essentially got these people that are trying to scam people out of money at these events as well. Do you think that he has a moral dilemma there? I know Goggins talks a lot of shit, and he says that a lot of people talk shit and they'll say this and blah, blah, blah. But in this particular instance, we're there for Goggins, and he's allowing these scummy people to take advantage of the people there.
Well, it's almost like Goggins is allowing them to use his reputation and his star power to pull in these people. And he gives like a credence of legitimacy to these other guys for sure. I mean, that's why you were there. It won't just be you either. And what really bothers me a lot about it, and it should bother you as well, is a lot of those people who probably ran up to that stage and get scammed by these people, they are quite desperate. And the wild thing is, like, you're not one of those people, but by having you there, and for a legitimate reason, you're also adding credence to the event for those scam artists. Because all those people around to that stage, they'll love to be you. They'll love to have your life. You still have the life that they want. They're actually desperate people. And by having, like, you be in that vicinity as well, like, they need enough of you there for Goggins, for the people who are being scammed to think it's a legitimate thing. And holy crap, if I just buy one of these things, I can be like all these other people I'm seeing around me. And that's really the problem. And that's what really pisses me off about it. Because the scam, I think Goggins isn't just like an innocent bystander in the scam. I think he's the reason the scam is so successful. Because he brings really actually like disciplined, strong people who just want to see Goggins. And then they prey on all the weak people that get pulled in. And for those weak people, having so many people like you being there just validates and solidifies the whole thing. If it was nothing but a fucking stadium full of losers and someone stood on stage and said, pay me $5,000 and I won't make you a loser anymore, you look around and go, this is probably a scam. But as soon as you have just enough people that are well put together, that's what's so toxic about it to me.
Well, this is the thing, is that I tried to think about it from Goggins' perspective, right? And I had this discussion with a couple of the people that I went with, and I was like, do you think Goggins knows what's happening for the rest of the day? So my thoughts is that he probably gets a massive lump sum of money to go and speak at this event. He rocks up right at the end. He does his Goggins-esque thing, and then he leaves. He had Ethan Donati, the guy that hosted the event, asking him questions. Shittest interviewer, shittest host I've ever seen of an event. And Goggins was, to be fair to him, making the absolute best out of these shitty questions that he was asking him. But the way that Goggins spoke about him is that they've spoken backstage and stuff, and obviously Goggins knows who he is. So I can't imagine that he doesn't know what he's doing. And then I was thinking to myself, why quite respect Goggins and I like him a lot. And if he's okay to allow his name to be associated with these other scammers, is that... What is Goggins then? Like, if he's okay to do that, or is it not on Goggins? Is it not on him? It's like he's been paid to be there, and it's everyone else's fault if they get scammed. It's up to them to be smart enough not to get scammed by these people.
There is a bit of that though, but you can't do what Goggins does and then not hold yourself accountable too. Like, I can just picture Goggins' voice, like the all pure accountability, full accountability, and then that's what he does. I've lost quite a bit of respect for Goggins now from the story that you said to me. That's why it caught my attention when we were doing all the prep for this and I saw it, because I would hate to think that this was happening, but I can't see any way that you alleviate any responsibility from Goggins here. I mean, he's the pool. He's a name that brings you there. If he's being associated by scum, like you are who you associate with, he says that. That's one of his quotes. And that's his closest five. That's people he associates with. People he headlines, does business with, are the snake oil salesman preying on the weak. Come on, man. Not good enough. Jordan Peterson doesn't do that. He could. He doesn't. Now, I know a lot of people I respect a lot don't do that. So that's not good enough, I don't think. He doesn't need the money that badly. He's quite famous. He's got best-selling books. He doesn't need to be out there, rubbing elbows with these snake oil salesmen to sell tickets. So I don't think he should be doing it.
And that's my thoughts. I was like, Goggins could have sold this event out himself. So it must be an insane amount of money that they're paying him for him to be able to...
You saw the people running to that stage, right? Like 2,500 each. Even if you get like fucking 6-7 people buying that $50,000 course, like you're probably giving them about half hour of your own actual work, and you're pocketing the rest of the money.
Yeah, and I think the part that sucks the most about this is that it made me question people like Goggins and who associates with Goggins, like Chris Williamson, Joe Rogan. And if Goggins, who in my head and how he's built himself up and the way I perceive him, is able to do something like that, well, are any of these people really genuine, or are they all just scamming people to some extent?
That's a good question as well. I do wonder that, like, it's one of two things. It's either that's who they are, and the community of people that needed to hear the message just came to them, or the message was needed already, so there was a market for the message, and these guys just like freaking psyoped into it. Right? Everyone needs guidance, especially right now. We have like a massive lack of male role models. Me and you talk about this all the time. It's a real problem, you know? And when Goggins comes around with his story and that helps so many people, like, is that all genuine? Is him being that like freaking, father figure for so many people, is that a genuine thing? Or is he realizing he can tap into it and make money through it? I think Rogan for me is genuine. I think Jordan Peterson for me is genuine enough. But Goggins, from what you've explained to me there, like, I wouldn't say so.
Now, here's the thing. I'm not taking away from anything that Goggins has done. And I think his stories are all legit as far as I'm aware. But I just think that it's him associating with these just scum of the earth people, as far as I'm aware of what I've seen from. I don't know these people.
You saw it firsthand, though, right?
I
you saw it.
Yeah.
You saw the slick back hair and like the you said snake oil salesman. That's like very apt, I reckon. I'm picturing what these guys look like already. I think I could get them. You could show me 3 photos and say pick out the guy I just described, and I reckon I could get them.
You could. Here's the thing. I don't know what these people are really like. I'm basing this off of a performance that they did. What they were doing was not being genuine, and they weren't there to give advice, and they weren't trying to genuinely help people. They were there to sell something. And that's okay as well, but they bait and switched everyone. Yeah. They pitched it as this self-help event, and all they did was try and fucking get money out of people.
Yeah. Man, I'm very suspicious of like the self-help stuff in general as well. I wonder your thoughts on this as well. Like, I think if you want to help someone, I've talked about this before on the previous episodes that we used to do before the structure came in, but like, as soon as you do something for someone, you do take away their ability to do it for themselves. At the very least, you add this thing inside their brain that goes, I'm only successful because so-and-so did this for me. So these people that pitch these self-help programs, even if they work, man, you have cursed that person for the rest of their life that their success was not their own. That is a curse. That's not a privilege to have to go bend down your knees thanking that fucking Aaron guy every day. Oh my God, your course saved my life. Fuck that. That's a terrible existence. You need to struggle through things by yourself. And the best thing other people can do for you, the reason why I liked Goggins before, is just tell me your story. Tell me how you did it. Don't tell me how you can help me do it. Just tell me how you did it, what you overcame. That will inspire me. I'll overcome my own things. Like, as soon as you come here saying, pay me 50 grand, I'll fix your problems. Fuck me, man. Like, even if it works, you haven't really helped me. If it doesn't work, you've scammed me. Like, there's no win for the consumer, per se, for the self-help programs. I think they're flawed as a concept. Like, even if they're genuine and they're really trying to help people, you haven't actually helped them. You've made them dependent on you now.
Yeah, essentially what I think is happening here is that obviously we know what Goggins is like. They're using him to bring in a net of people, and then they're casting their net out and capturing 1 to 2 people that'll pay it. From what I saw, it was closer to like 20 to 30 people for this one guy. Even if that Ethan guy gets one person at 50K for his advertising, that's a pretty good day, over 2 days. And they're going all around Australia. If that Aaron Sansoni guy gets 15 to 20 people at 2.5K per pop, that's a really good day.
And it's such a shame as well because, like, you weren't the target for that.
No.
You were there to legitimize the process for the people who were the target. And the real problem for me is, like, they're the people who probably need, like, help the most. They're probably the people who just need to, like, literally pull themselves up and, like, sort their lives out. Start small, achieve little things, achieve bigger things. That's probably the way for them to go. Instead, they come to these things and pay their last dollar for some Hail Mary fix while their habits are probably still fucked. Their diet's probably still fucked. They're probably not sleeping right. They probably have terrible personal relationships in their close life. Those are real things that they need to fix through time and effort. And they're coming here throwing their last dollar at some snake oil salesman. It really pisses me off. Like, you feel, I think everyone's responsible for how they spend their money. But goddamn, do I hate those predators, man. I hate those people that prey on the weak like that. I think it's like one of the most like abysmal things you can do as a human being.
So I guess what I was wanting to ask you is, and it seems like it's clear now, do you think that Goggins has done people wrong by that? Do you think that he's allowed himself And it seems I was giving him the benefit of the doubt that it was unknowingly, but it seems that he's knowingly allowed himself to allow these people to use his name for that.
Look, he's either ignorant or culpable. Both look bad on him. I mean, if you're worth that much money now, if you're that famous, and you can't realize what your image and likeness is being used for, you're a fucking idiot. Two, if you did know about it and he was part of it, then that's also fucking diabolical as well. I shouldn't have done that. So I can't see any way that it's like he's okay with
There's no way for him to talk himself out of it. Yeah.
No,
Fuck,
unfortunately.
it sucks, man.
It does. I love the guy as well.
I don't think I owe Goggins anything, but his story and mindset certainly helped me transform within myself and stop making excuses. So then to think that, well, what we've just discussed is something that he was okay with doing, it's fucked, in my opinion. Because it's definitely, it's hurt my image of him, and it's hurt the image of everyone else that associates with him now too. Because I don't know who to fucking trust online anymore.
Dude,
like, is anyone genuine?
I reckon, like, you've seen that your hero's a human, and that's like that's something that's almost deeper, that cuts deeper about that, right? Like, when you don't see these flaws, you think to yourself, finally, there's a guy I want to aspire to be like. That's like the paragon of virtue type thing. And as soon as you see him do something scummy like this, man, it cuts deeper than anyone else let you down in your personal life. Hurts. But when your heroes let you down, that's when it's really freaking, part of growing up, I suppose. But goddamn.
Yeah, I mean, look, I get the whole hero analogy. And look, I wouldn't say he was a hero to me. And I know that from reading his book, he was a flawed person. But it seems like he had enough moral honor to not do some shit like this.
Dude, he had a great hero arc, man. Like, I don't want to use the hero thing too loosely, but for me, like, when I did idolize him from that story. Because you think to yourself, like, if he can overcome all this, yeah, you do. What else would you want your heroes to be? He was everything you'd want your heroes to be.
Absolutely, and I 100% agree with you. Like, from that perspective, he absolutely gave, looking at his story, it gave me hope to be able to
become a better man as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck, it is what it is, man.
It is what it is.
Shit, yeah. I'm going to clip this one, and if he sees it, I'm sure he's going to tell me to get fucked. Shut up, you fucking bitch. Oh, shit.
No, I'd love for him to react to it and even just say, like, what's his side of this? Like, how can he justify it as well then? Is it just, does the weak, like, strong keep preying on the weak? Is that how he sees it? Because if it is, I don't think for me, that's not functional for a society. We can't all be like that.
No, but
if we're all like that, everything falls apart, man. You can't just prey on the weak. There's no strength in that. That's cowardly. It's cowardly to prey on the weak.
I guess the part that I was sort of debating with was that if you get scammed, it's on you. You know?
I actually have a funny factoid for this as well. I don't know if I told you this to you before, but do you know when you get those like Nigerian prince scam emails? You know they always have bad English in them? Do you know that's intentional?
Really?
That they intentionally do that. And the reason is, right, they know that 100% of the population, the bottom 20%, the stupidest, that's their target. But in that bottom 20%, they don't want the 20 to 5%. They want the stupidest 5%. They want the people that are so stupid that they know once they hook them in, it's going to result in money. So the way that they separate that stupidest 5% is by fucking up the spelling in the scam, because that usually sifts away the 15% of dumb people who are still a little bit smart and will just end up wasting their time. So if you see a Nigerian prince scam and it's got the wrong spelling and you still fall for it, that's their target. That's what they really want. That's got the conversion rate. That's like a, 99% success rate for money. They don't want someone who's like maybe believes it, maybe doesn't, and they lose those people as soon as they mispronounce the spelling and shit like that. So that's how they intentionally sift those people out and just find the stupidest. And
that's crazy.
That's one of the cleverest fucking things, because it makes sense. It's all about conversion rates for them. Conversion of the sale for them is like, get the dumbest motherfucker who will also buy the gift card, also give you the code on the back, who will do everything you ask them to. You don't want someone just stupid. You want like, sub 70 IQ. And the way you do that is by misspelling the initial phishing scam. I think that's just genius.
I actually had no idea that's what it was about, but because I always thought, like, man, after all these years, they've got ChatGPT and shit.
They'll still intentionally do that, and it's part of it.
Man, what a that's actually
Yeah.
that one's beautiful.
It makes so
That's
much
such
sense.
that's
as
such
well.
a great little clip right there. That I had no idea about.
It blew my mind when I learned about it as well. I was like, those because they are very sophisticated, man. Like it's not like just some guy sending emails out. They have like factories or computer. They have employees, man. Like if you watch a guy called Jim Browning on YouTube, he actually hacks back into the scammers.
Yes, yeah, I've seen it.
Dude, they have like massive operations set up for this sort of stuff.
That's nuts.
Yeah,
man.
but I thought it was a fascinating one to just fit in there with the scamming.
That is a really interesting
Yeah.
one. Actually, whilst we're here, I just wanted you to open up your X just to make sure no one's commenting on X.
Yes.
Because for some reason I got locked out of my account. I don't know why, but all right. So that's the end of Shoes on the Ground. Pretty good.
Nice, yeah. It's very still local issues as well. We're not even on the good stuff.
100%. I think we've got. What else have we got now? Do you want to do Curious Critters?
Yes.
You do want to do that one?
Yes, I do want to do that one.
Yeah, okay. So the one that I did, so this week, so Curious Critters, if you guys don't know what it is, it's essentially either Darko and I sharing a surprising fact or quirky story about animals in nature. So we do a little bit of research in the lead up to this. And what I did mine on was the size of tuna fish. I don't know if anyone actually knows how big tuna fish get.
I think I know like a random fact that maybe they grow as big as they can over time. Like they keep getting bigger. Is that?
Oh man, they get so big. So essentially, here's a couple of little fascinating facts. I'm gonna have to read these out 'cause I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah.
And I'll show you a video of someone that caught a tuna fish after. But size and species. So tuna, the Atlantic bluefin tuna, is the largest species and can grow up to 3 meters or 9.8 feet in length and weigh over 680 kilograms.
Nice.
So for the Americans, that's 1,500 pounds.
That is insane.
Dude, could you imagine if that thing was flowing through the water and it just hit you?
Dude, that's like 3 meters long. That's like the size of this room, for God's sakes.
It actually is.
insane.
It is actually nuts. The smaller species like skipjack tuna average around 80 centimeters, 2.6 feet, weigh up to 18 kilos. That's still fairly
Still
hefty.
decent, yeah.
Their speed, they get up to 70 kilometers per hour. Nuts.
So you
Imagine
can
that.
get,
A
you can get hit by...
680 kilo fish moving at 70 kilometers an hour.
Bro, that's like getting hit by a school bus, man. That's fucked.
It's crazy, right?
Jesus. How do
yeah.
they get so big? What the fuck?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because they live so long. So essentially, they're endothermic, meaning they can regulate their body temperature, and this adaptation allows them to survive in a range of different oceans.
So they can go from the higher to the lower. They can go through
so
the
they can
depths.
hunt anywhere.
Nice.
Their hunting diet, they're essentially the apex predators, and they hunt in schools. So they stick together.
Yep, schools
they've
of
got
tuna, makes
really
sense.
good eyesight. They chase down like small fish, squid, crustaceans, and then sometimes they even team up with dolphins. So they
What?
leverage the dolphins' ability to corral fish into dense schools, and they use that to be able
And
to
they eat
feast on them.
together.
How
That is
crazy is that,
wild.
right? And then essentially they migrate and travel across the ocean. So some species like bluefin, they undertake a journey across the Atlantic Ocean multiple times in their lives.
Jesus.
Yeah, very, very crazy. So the biggest tuna fish that was ever caught was in 2012 by fishermen in Japan. They caught a bluefin tuna weighing 222 kilograms. And that sold for $1.8 million.
Jesus.
Yeah, nuts. The Japanese love their tuna, man,
Yeah,
especially for the sashimi and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
And there was a couple little interesting facts that I found out about tuna. So in 2019, a story surfaced about a diver off the coast of Mexico who was stranded in a strong current, and a group of yellowfin tuna seemingly
What?
guided the diver back towards the boat by circling and pushing the diver in the right direction. That's crazy.
What?
It's a really interesting thing, right? So
Dude, I've actually seen. Have you seen that before as well? That certain divers actually make like relationships with fish,
I've heard it. I've
and
heard
like,
of
they
it.
won't dive for like 10 years. One lady, I think she got hurt. She didn't dive for like 10 years. Came back, and the fish fucking found her. It
really?
was all like excited, swam around her and shit. It was the same fish she used to like, always like see in that coral area.
That's
Like it
nuts.
remembered her.
It's crazy. Like
Yeah.
nature is nuts, man.
Especially in the ocean, man. We don't think about the ocean as being like same as like the relationships on land that we make with creatures.
No,
but
because they seem so emotionless, right? The fish, but
it's so alien to us, right?
it is very alien. And then just a couple final things before I show you the video. Here's a couple little fun tuna facts for anyone out there listening. So, tunas can dive deep. They can dive up to depths of over 900 meters in search for food.
Gee, that's
So
almost a kilometer
So
underwater.
3,000 feet.
Damn.
They never stop swimming. So
Kind of like a shark as well, right?
yeah, it's the same thing. I think sharks, They go immobile.
Yeah, that might be a myth, right? They can, I think.
I think they can stop. Yeah. But tunas never stop. They need to constantly swim to keep oxygen-rich water flowing over their gills. If they stop, they'll essentially die. And then their lifespan. So some tunas can live up to 40 years, but most don't due to fishing pressures.
You know what I love? I love like the it's not so big now because media age, but back in the day, there used to be like fishermen used to share stories about monster fish in certain areas. Like
Yes,
would have been sick to have been a fisherman in those times, like going out trying to catch like A.W.S.O or some shit, like a fucking 2,000 kilogram tuna that's in some fucking waters.
Well, do you know?
I wonder if any of that stuff existed. Like if it's all.
Well, you know, River Monsters.
Yeah?
Did you ever see that show?
With like a cryptoid.
That Jeremy. I can't remember his name, but he used to essentially go out and look for myths of fish, and try and catch them, right? And the reason the show ended is because he caught them all.
Did he actually?
All of the myths that he set out to find,
They actually found them.
he found them all.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's what I love about myths and like stories is that we do normally base them on something as well. Like, humans base stories on real shit. That's why I love all the fucking stuff we go into, like the paranormal or the UFO stuff. There's always some grain of truth that the myth was based around.
Well, I think that's what makes life so fun. It's like the mythology and the mystery. If you didn't have that kind of stuff, man, life would be boring. I think that's the thing, is like people just want to explore, but everything's been, other than the Amazon, has been found.
Well, I actually saw a very interesting thing as well, that apparently we've explored more of the moon's surface than we have of the Earth's oceans.
Yeah, right.
That's how much of the Earth's oceans are unexplored. That apparently if you could put, that was one of the cool facts. The other cool fact was when SETI,
Yes.
The fact I heard about that was, in terms of searching for life in our galaxy, we have done the equivalent of taking a hot tub size of the ocean and looking at it for fish. Not finding any, saying there's none here. That's what we've done. That's how limited the funding and telescope time has been towards searching for life in the galaxy. We've almost done none of it, bro.
That's insane, right? That's actually crazy. I'm just going to swap to the React cam.
Let's do this.
So I can show you guys essentially what we're looking at here. Give me 2 seconds. Which one is it? Sorry, guys.
No,
I need to...
That's doing the one in front of us, so if we get
the browser. Yeah, this is it here.
Yeah.
So I wanted to show you guys. So check out the size of this tuna fish that this person caught.
Fucking hell,
That is a monster, right?
Dude, that's like freaking 2 human lengths at least.
Man, imagine that thing.
Jesus Christ.
It's a monster, right? It's hard to believe it's even a real thing. I didn't realize they get that big.
Insane. Dude, that's like some Jurassic Park type of shit. When you see animals that big, you're like, the megafauna that went extinct about 15,000 years ago?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a scale? Do like a human to megafauna comparison image if you can after this as well, because there used to be enormous shit that lived on the planet Earth. We call it megafauna. It all went extinct roughly between 6,000 to 15,000 years ago. Some people say it's that Younger Dryas comet impact that killed all the... But man, we used to have like freaking... Yeah, click on any of these. There was like freaking beavers the size of people. There was like... As soon as you show me that tuna fish thing, I'm like, that's exactly what this feels
They're
like.
massive,
And
eh?
we're tiny. Like, that one there, actually, yeah.
Which one?
Right,
this
that one there. So this is some of the stuff that was around not that even long ago. And all of it went extinct roughly like,
Well, some of those are still around.
Some are still around, but most of them, especially in Australia, there used to be giant kangaroos that were massive.
It's too bad that one's...
That's what dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are way, way longer. But like these megafauna were around really, really recently, dude. Like I'd say 6,000 to 15,000 years ago. In Australia, I think there was a giant like beaver-like thing that was the size of...
I have heard of that, yeah. Have you heard of this thing? The Gigantopithecus?
Yes, I've heard about that.
That's like a real thing, apparently.
Yeah, we found the skeletal remains of
like
that.
That's apparently what the Bigfoot myth is based
8 to 10 foot, and it was around up to about 100,000 years ago, they say. I think I've seen that 100,000 to 1,000,000 years ago, it's in that range that they think that they found in the fossil records. But that tuna's crazy.
It's wild, right?
I would kind of love to be in that world where that megafauna still existed, but at the same time, it would be terrible. Imagine you want to go for a hike, and being genuinely worried about a giant fucking bird swooping down and just taking you
Like
away.
a pterodactyl or something like that.
Would have to kill them all. Sure,
Well, I mean,
would have to hunt them all out.
Some eagles can pick
Yeah.
up like cows, sheep and shit
Yeah.
like that. They like pick them up and drop them.
Yeah, well, I reckon
Crazy.
the whole the myth of dragons basically how it was like the knights had to go slay the thing that was killing people.
Yeah.
Man, if 10,000 years ago we had megafauna around, was there something that was preying on humans and knights and soldiers genuinely had to get together and go kill the giant monster that was like eating townspeople?
Well, here's the thing.
Probably,
maybe
man,
there
probably.
was something, but you would think there'd be fossils or something.
No, but
like
we
that.
have fossils. That's what that megafauna is.
No, but like of a dragon.
Oh
though,
yeah,
you know
dragon
what I mean?
necessarily, but maybe dragon was the story interpretation of what was generally.
It was
just
probably the name of
Yeah.
a big lizard. Like it could even be a crocodile.
or kimono.
Because like if you think about crocodiles are fucking huge.
yeah, or even like those kimonos as well.
Komodo
Like
dragons.
a larger,
yeah,
a megafauna version of a kimono
Yeah,
that
that'd
eats
be-
people.
But you'd think that there'd be something left of them.
Well, we do have that. That what you saw about that. If you go megafauna records, we do have the bones of
Giant komodos.
from about 5 to 15,000 years ago. Giant predator animals. We haven't
Yeah.
found them all. You only ever find like such a small amount, man. Like the amount of the fossils we've actually found is insanely low for how much we've interpreted from those bones.
Yeah, it was interesting because there was that gentleman that went on Joe Rogan's podcast. I forget his name. It's Alex. Is it Alex Cho? I
You
think.
see the guy who has that swamp in the back of his farm and found all those like bones and shit.
No. He was this. He was a guy that did a mural for Facebook, and they offered him like 20 grand or shares in Facebook, and he decided to take the 20 grand in shares instead. So now he's just like loaded, and
Lucky bastard.
he went out to the Congo or something like that, and he was looking for this mythological dinosaur that people said they'd seen out there. But like he tried to get out there, and it was just so hard to get to the area that they'd seen. But apparently everyone had seen this thing. He went out there. He's like some 19-year-old kid. It's actually a really interesting documentary. I'll send it to you when you go home.
Yeah, I'll look at that.
But yeah.
Yeah, I find that really fascinating. Those giant creatures are still around. Like that. What you showed me there about the tuna, it's just triggering me. I'm like, what else is there?
You would
What
never
else is
think
there?
that a tuna is that big. I've caught a tuna that's probably like maybe this big.
Yeah.
You know, like if you scale. Oh,
Oh,
that's
no.
like it's probably like maybe slightly if I go this
Yeah,
arm
about-
like that big, but never like
Size
that's
of the
just
room,
that's
man.
just
Size of the
insane. Like that thing. Imagine how many
Jesus.
people could eat from
Yeah.
that thing. I wonder what size of tuna we actually eat from a tin. Like
Oh,
if
just
you
look
get-
at the
if you get-
grams of a tin. I mean, see just how many like tins you could make out of that one.
Yeah, like
tuna.
but like I wonder if they're catching those real big ones or if
Let's say-
they're catching the smaller ones.
But let's just say that, how many cans of tuna could you make out of that big one that like a person calls? Let's say you got one 200-gram can of tuna.
But would you want to?
5 of those is 1 kilo. You could make about 2,500 cans of tuna from one catch.
Yeah, I don't know if they would use that high
No
quality
chance,
fish
nah,
for that.
they-
though, right?
that would be
They'd
like
be using the smaller,
high
shittier
class
ones
restaurants
For
for sure.
sure.
Yeah.
But
Factory farm probably.
The bigger that they get, the higher the mercury concentration as well.
Huh.
Yeah, so like really,
bioaccumulates.
yeah, bigger fish naturally have higher mercury levels. So yeah, if you eat too much of that shit, it doesn't leave your body either.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
Good to know.
We'll
so
go on
ju-
to your one, shall
Yeah,
we?
jump on mine if you give me the mouse
Yeah,
there.
yeah, I'll hand it over to you.
This is what I've been tracking for a while, and it's still not reached the level I wanted to in terms of like the actual, like what's about to happen with this. Still think we're about 6 months or a year out of it. But basically, for a while, scientists have been tracking how whales use an alphabet. They found there's certain like inflections and tones and pitches, and there's patterns. So well before like they were trying to decipher it into a language, they could see their patterns, and other whales could communicate with it. It was definitely something going on. It was as complex as our alphabet is. Now the way
Yeah,
you'd
wow.
go A, B, C, D, E, the whales have a very similar sort of like change in tone and frequency and pitch. So what they started to do, and I was really excited about this when I first saw ChatGPT, one of the things the research team tried to do was try to feed it all of the sounds the alphabet was making, that the whales were making, and have the AI process it and spit out what is the alphabet. And it started working, and they started getting some crazy breakthroughs, and as we speak, they are trying to play back the sounds they're making to these whales to get the communication. They think they know what they're saying to them,
Yeah.
but the whales either don't want to respond because they're like, who the fuck is this human with a speaker talking to us? Or they don't know what's going on, but they're pretty confident they've got like the alphabet deciphered.
That's crazy.
Which, it's
man.
insane that how complex their form of communication is. So what they do right now, basically, they're recording whale sounds in the wild. They contain hours of sound, and they put it through the AI. The AI picks up, frequencies, and other sort of things that are important for communications. And then they classify the sounds. So there's pitch, rhythm, and frequency. And then the predictive models, same way that AI learned how to speak human languages, is that you keep feeding it data and it'll predict what's being said and what to say next. So if they keep feeding whale sounds to the AI, it's going to be able to communicate with whales.
Wow.
So we are, definitely in our lifetime, I reckon the next few years, we are very close to being able to communicate to another species at like a pretty deep fundamental level. And now you got to assume if their alphabet, their phonetic alphabet is as advanced as what we use in a different way, like there's complex conversations happening. Like they're not repeating the same few sounds over and over again. Almost never happens. It's like each one's a sentence. They're very unique. They've got hours that they've put through, and there's no like double up on pitch, tone, and frequency at any point. The same way when me and you have 2-3 hour conversations, you're never gonna find. You might find us say the same words, not in the same pitch, not in the same frequency, not in the same tone. And tone matters. Tone is how you put meaning and intent behind words. So they have that. They have intent behind their sounds. They have sadness, they have almost emotion behind their sounds. They have different intent when it's a warning call for a predator, different intent when it's a greeting, all these things. And then different populations of whales have a different language. They can't actually communicate to each other. They have like localized, regionalized languages the way we have French or Spanish or English. How insane is that?
Dude, that is fucking crazy. And you know what the craziest thing is about all this? Is that when the AI finally learns how to speak to whatever species of whale they're talking to, we might be able to ask them myths and stories about shit in the fucking dude.
Bro, I was just thinking
about stuff that's happened in the ocean.
What are their stories like? What are their like legends, man? Do they have a fucking like flood myth? Do they have like a time when humans were just as advanced and under the water? Have they seen fucking aliens under the water?
Atlantis? Have they been past it?
Have they been hearing strange things in the oceans that they can't explain?
Have they seen strange things? You know, like if that is really something that is actually going to be possible, for sure there's going to be conspiracy.
Well, there's no reason why that they're putting it together now. Like they're analyzing the patterns, they're recognizing it, the AI is learning, they're trying to play back sentences to the whales. So we're so close to just some sort of breakthrough in communication. Once the whale starts to understand what we're trying to do, what if we have enough understanding they can start helping us learn? What if they don't want us to learn? What if they're like, nah, fuck you humans, you guys pollute everything, you pieces of shit. Like, what is gonna happen, bro?
Who knows, man?
But whales are massive. They have like a quite large brain. They've been around for a long time as a species. Like this idea that they don't have some sort of advanced, we have no reason to suggest they don't have an advanced form of communication. We just don't know what they're saying. So I love the concept, man. It's going to be so exciting to see what happens.
I'm excited to see what happens because you just never know where nature's going to go. Or science is going to go. Yeah. But the thing is that I feel like scientists are not fun. They don't do shit like what we would want to ask, you know? They're like, we just, like, I don't know, like, maybe they will, maybe they won't.
No, I actually had a really interesting podcast. I think Rogan had a guy on, actually it was Lex Friedman. Lex Friedman had a scientist on, astrophysicist, talking about UFOs.
Oh, I saw that.
And the guy admitted, he's like, look, like, being a scientist is, like, if you are really in academia where one misspoken sentence or insinuation or prediction tanks your whole career, I get it. They have to be so cautious to be seen as the serious person in the room. And that's the problem with making anyone an authority on information, an authority on knowledge. Man, that goes to your head and you start walking around like you're fucking, you know, you're the emperor who can't ever be faulted. They can't explore things anymore, man. They lose the fun, which is the whole point of science, is like, ask a fun question, find out if there's a fun answer. But they wouldn't even ask the fun questions because, I have grants, I have my reputation, this or that. So, you're right. I don't like the idea of the scientists probably behind this team. There must be at least a little bit wacky because their first thought of AI was, let's try to talk to some whales. I think that's pretty wacky shit going on there. But I don't think they're going to ask it fun questions. There's no way they're going to like, UFOs. Have you whales seen some UFOs? Because they have detection for sound. Like, if these UFOs are emitting anything... did you ever hear about the story from the Soviet Union and what they encountered when they first started making sonar submarines?
No.
So they thought it was the Americans the whole time. It was never the Americans. They were detecting some advanced thing in the oceans for a long time during the Cold War. I can't remember what name they gave to it. I watched a whole documentary on this. I think it was A.W.S.O. It was something like that. It's a really weird Russian name they gave them. But it was USOs. And they were picking up these fast-moving things that were like jamming their sonar. Or they thought it was the Americans, and that might be why they actually pulled out the Cold War the way that they did. Is that they thought the Americans had them beat in like submarine technology. They did not. The Americans did not. The Russians were so far ahead with that, but they found highly advanced things moving in the water, and they thought it was the Americans. There's a whole documentary on it, and the files got released when the Soviet Union fell, but they put a lot of money to try and figure out what these things were because they thought it was the Americans, and they never found out what they were.
This is all leading back into the conspiracy
But
and the
just-
psyop that's
But what if we
hanging-
ask these whales, bro?
Yeah, I know.
I
I like
really
that
want
idea.
to.
I like that idea, but they're
Yeah.
probably not gonna.
So I mean, this is the actual news article. It's the BBC. Like this, I'm not just spouting stuff here. This is like a genuine scientific. Yes, papers been made on this already. I read one of
Right.
them. It was
Yeah,
quite
yeah.
fascinating. But yeah, I just want to find the actual. So, 47 million years ago, that might be when we started evolving out the ocean. But
Yeah.
whales have been around as like a species for a very, very long time, like longer than we've probably been Homo sapiens. So whatever their like language is, so is it that sperm whales have 21 coda types, which is a rhythmic sequences of clicks. So we have 26 letter alphabet. They have a 21 coda like rhythmic click, but they can put variations on it. So the way we have A or R, like they have that same thing happening there.
Wow.
And they add them to make basically building blocks of coders that they call sentences that they put together. It's insane. So this is MIT is running this. So each coder consists of between 3 and 40 rapid fire clicks. That's them like making a word.
Wow.
How insane is that, man?
That is actually nuts. That's actually super interesting.
It's insane. It's way more advanced than we previously thought. Yeah, so you're saying that it's equivalent of being able to say what or what? That's
Really?
basically the emotional variation they can put on things.
Could you imagine if there's like whales out there sassing each other? How funny would that
There
shit
must be, bro. There must be.
be? It gives a completely different
Yeah.
meaning to like life and consciousness though, right? Like, because we think we're the only conscious sort of beings, but if
Man,
whales
if
are out
they
there,
have myths, if they have like origin stories, if they have some sort of like creator being type thing, it's gonna blow things apart, man.
well, I assume that dolphins would be similar, right?
Yeah. Oh my god, I think dolphins have a very similar advanced communication. Where's the mouse when there is?
Oh, what do you need to do?
I've just moved the mouse away. Is it furthest to the left for this?
Oh,
there
there
we
you
go,
go. It's
there
on
we go.
that, yeah.
Pretty sure there you go. Yeah, I just thought that was a very, very fascinating thing to dive into there because
100%. That's
Yeah.
fascinating.
dolphins, I mean, I think cats, you could probably communicate to cats to some extent as well. I don't think you would get just as much from cats as you would from whales or dolphins. 'cause
well, it's
the
so
brain
hard to
size and all
say.
the
It's
rest.
so hard to say because who else has tried that?
Mm.
Like, I don't know. Like, they obviously communicate in some form or fashion. Like,
Yeah, well, I think they
Don't
they
know.
know for a fact that cats understand their own names, and most of the time when they don't react, they just don't want to.
yeah.
They know what their name is.
Well, yeah. When I call Lilo, she looks at me and she's
Yeah,
like,
she
and
knows.
she'll meow back sometimes. She'll be like, "What's up?"
yeah,
You know. So it's like, it's
Insane.
really interesting to know that there's potentially a
Yeah.
possibility to sort of decipher what they're trying to say to you.
So cool, man. I'm very excited about it. But like, what if they hate us? That's what it occurred to me. I was going through. It's like, what if every other animal on this planet hates us? What if they all think that we're not natural? What if they all remember when something happened and we changed, and they all go, no, like you've been altered with, you've been fucked with, like you're not natural, you're not part of this earth.
This is
What if
deep.
they
This
have
is
that view?
deep
How
conspiracy.
crazy would that
here.
be?
That would be nuts. And shout outs to everyone tuning in, by
Yeah.
the way.
Just tuning, guys, because we're
on
not
any platform you're
we're
on.
not like any other animal on this planet. You gotta understand that we're the only animal that manufactures a different ecosystem that's not natural.
Mm.
There's nothing in this room right now that is built naturally in nature. All of it manipulated. No other creature does that. It's really wild. We want to escape the natural world that we evolved from. No other creature tries to do that.
It is very weird. It is very
Yeah,
strange.
most humans can go like 9+ months of a year without touching actual grass or dirt.
Yeah, fucking go out and touch some grass.
It's
It's like an
insane.
insult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought that was a great one. Though. Like,
That was good, man. Curious Critters is
Yeah.
done for this week. I hope you guys
I will do
enjoyed that
another
one.
update on that one if they do have a
If
breakthrough.
there's some more
I was waiting
breakthroughs,
for
yeah.
a breakthrough and it just didn't come yet. It was unfortunate.
For sure. I guess we could probably just do one more before we wrap it up. Do you reckon?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think
So
we've been
we
pretty well now.
have some stuff in Darko's Deep Dive, and we also have some stuff on Off the Beaten Path. Now, fuck, I've got some wild shit on that one.
How big is that one? Because, how you going? Just tuning in, man. How you doing?
Turbo, how you doing?
How you going,
please do with, I don't even know what.
Doing one more?
Oh,
we said we'll do one more.
One more? You gonna do one? Yeah, so.
I'll probably touch on this one really quick.
Which one?
This is just that one I told you about. Where there was that quote that I really liked from this guy.
For Off the Beaten Path?
Yeah.
That's what you want to do? All right. Actually, Off the Beaten Path, what is that one? Explore an obscure historical fact, myth, or urban legend. All right, yeah. Mine is actually really interesting because it's specific to Western Australia. I've been trying to get the myths from WA, but we'll start with your one. Go for it. Go.
Surprise to the mouse is a very, very quick one here. Like, this really went under the radar, man, because hold on, if I'm here, can you just click the shift? Clicks?
Oh, yep. Control. Yep.
Right, so there was another Pentagon update to Congress on the UFO situation, right?
Okay.
Oh wow. ABC's
page unavailable.
Why would you remove that?
If you just
don't worry,
I
pulled this out. No, I pulled the quote directly out.
Well done.
But goddamn, that is frustrating. Okay, so basically they did a key findings review in the Pentagon report.
Don't you find that so strange though that they removed the article? Why? They always do shit
I don't
like
understand that one. That was all authorized release. It was an authorized release. There was nothing in there that was like whistleblower or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very odd when they do stuff like that.
It's really annoying because you can even see it here as well that like the hashtags of the link I've got are actual like legitimate coded. It is in their report. Yeah. Anyway, there was so basically the Pentagon a couple months ago released their new report. It's basically a yearly update on how many UAP unidentified aerial phenomenon reports they've gotten and how many they were able to discount, how many remain open. So you guys, the ones that remain open are basically the Pentagon saying, we've reviewed the radar, we've reviewed the report, we can't close this out. This isn't just someone looking at a plane, this isn't someone looking at a bird, we can't close these out. So 444 reports, out of those 21 remained completely unsolvable. And not just because they didn't have enough data, they had the freaking, the guy who's like a doctorate in physics and engineering, he was a spokesperson, came out. He said, and I quote, "With all my understandings of physics and engineering, as well as all my time spent in the military, I cannot understand them and don't know anyone else who can." That was his quote on those. That's not saying not enough data. That's saying we do not understand how these things moved, operated, propelled. We cannot understand them. No one else can. No other country can. We don't know. 21 in a 12-month period. 21 documented reports of something that the military does not understand, cannot figure out. And everyone who tells me this is a psyop, this is a cry for more funding, this is a distraction, this was a month and a half ago. Have you even heard about it? The report.
I haven't heard about the report, but
the ABC report just got taken off.
That doesn't go to say that this isn't a psyop, though.
Possibly.
It seems more like a psyop to me than it does to be legitimate.
But what I don't understand about that is if it's a psyop, if it's a distraction, all these things, nothing has been done with this. They haven't requested more funding. This is something they've been forced to disclose as part of like a law that got overturned, like the law that got made, I think, at the start of this year. I remember we talked about when it first happened, and I was really excited because I said they have to report to Congress now about it. And you were like, oh, fair enough. These are those reports. They were forced to do this. Luis Elizondo and the other guy, they actually got this through Congress. This law, Pentagon has to provide reports and updates on the UAPs. They don't want to, but they have to.
Well, that's exactly how you would want a psyop to appear.
Possibly.
Oh, we don't want to put it out there.
Possibly.
No.
I appreciate you being a skeptic, but for me, that is still... It's either it's happening, and we're in the midst living through disclosure, or it's never happened, it will never happen, and we've been lied to. It's one or the other. And I can't tell you which one is more likely. I really can't. There's no Occam's razor for this, because on one side, it's very unlikely to have advanced alien civilizations. It's very unlikely that they'll be here if they're very far away. That's very unlikely. It's also very unlikely that for 600-700 years, we've documented cases of strange things in the sky. Every story we've ever discussed, including the one about the still prints of the night sky that confirmed 3 moving objects before we even had satellites. You can go look at those prints yourself. They still exist. You know, there's so many stories that we have. It's either they're all a lie or something is happening. For me, both are just as unlikely as each other.
I don't doubt that there's something happening. I don't doubt
Like,
that.
in terms of alien life or in terms of psyop?
No. I think that alien life is the psyop. I think there's something happening. It's probably man-made. If it isn't man-made and it's something that's been retrieved, that gets more interesting.
Yeah.
But I highly doubt it. Like all these drones and shit that have been over the sky, if these are really things that can travel that distance, have got all this advanced technology, and they're the shittest thing at hiding. They really can't hide themselves.
What if they don't
and
want to?
they've only now all of a sudden started showing themselves after all these years. Come on, man.
How about this, though? If out of nowhere, aliens just announced themselves in the sky 10 years ago, before all of this, before Bob Lazar's story and Rogan, before whistleblowers from the military, before the Pentagon announcing that they have an off-world recovered vehicle. Pentagon announced that, by the way. That was a news article in New York
I
Times.
remember reading it.
Yeah. So I'm saying, like, if they wanted to prepare us for this, is that not what you're experiencing? Because right now, if it did happen and it was confirmed, you'd be like, oh shit, Darko was right. You won't lose your fucking mind. You lose it a little bit, but you go, yeah, okay, I saw the signs. People have been seeing these things for a long time. Fair enough. It makes sense. Like, we are a bit more ready, aren't we?
It works both ways, though, for a PSYOP. For a PSYOP, you start it back with Bob Lazar, and you slowly start to drip feed. You even the fact of people coming out and calling them crazy people and skeptics and criticizing their arguments and putting little bits of information that kind of is interesting, but then there's some bullshit involved in it. That is a perfect PSYOP. It's exactly what you would do if you were PSYOPing people.
PSYOP is always going to be the other alternative. That's just as likely all the way up until the point you see it with your own eyes, and even still then. There's no way you ever get out of that. There's no way I'll ever convince you it's not a PSYOP, because PSYOPs can go so deep. It can go beyond what you even think you're seeing with your own eyes. So I think that's always going to be an alternative. And I'd be happy to take you to this area if we can agree. If we both go, it's either aliens are here and they're trying to reveal themselves, and our government has shit fuckery going on and all the rest of that still, but there is a general essence of another intelligence trying to communicate to us, or that's not happening at all. It's all being simulated by the government for an unknown reason. I would say both of those, to me, are just as unlikely as each other. They're just as like far-fetched and anti-Occam's razor as possible, because you need to have a complete seal-tight, manufactured conspiracy that's been going on for generations.
All right,
since the 40s.
Yeah, let's use your example.
Since Roswell.
Let's use your example of Russia finding these things in the ocean, not knowing what they are, and then assuming that it's America.
Yeah.
So let's take that exact concept and apply it to new technology that America has that they don't necessarily want Russia to know that they have it, but they want them to go, okay.
Oh, this is aliens in our skies, not America.
Yeah, right?
Possible?
That is a 100% a possibility, because one, then the Russians don't know, is it actually the Americans? The Americans are saying they don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But then all these really weird things are happening in Russia as well, potentially, and they can't directly tie it back to America. So that means that America is operating whatever this new technology is anywhere they want in the world, but they're denying that it's them that are doing it.
I'd say 99% of any sighting in the last 10 years is probably that. But what I'm saying to you is that go back to the 1940s, go back to the 1600s, go back to any of these documented sightings of like flying orbs in the sky. Like the amount of time capture you need to take.
Hang on a second.
Still be
No, that's explainable. That's explainable. So let's take Bob Lazar's story. For a lot of that time, or for a long period of time, they perhaps had one or two or one that worked, and
they're trying to recreate
that. Perhaps if you want to take it down this theory of it being alien technology, say they had one, it was working. Some of those sightings were out. Maybe they had one or two. Bob worked on another one that they'd retrieved, apparently this archaeological dig.
Yeah.
So that's why because he said that there was more than
Yeah,
one.
they found one
right?
archaeological dig. I like that.
So there's more than one of them, and then they've slowly started recreating them. Now they've understood what it is, and now they have the ability to recreate them, and that's why we're seeing more and more of them.
Very possible. I think that's, if you ask me, are we seeing actual alien disclosure right now, like actual aliens being in the sky, or the American government who reverse engineered actually found things? That's probably more likely, because the time frame, like if they're coming from a different star system, the likelihood that they would hit us at the perfect time that we're able to witness them and discuss and even talk like this, it's so unlikely, man. Just, things have been around for billions of years. Solar systems, planets, habitable zones on different star systems. The likelihood that they've got here just as we're becoming like consciously aware, so unlikely.
And not to mention that if we do have some sort of technology that is able to do the things that they're saying these UFOs can do, well, that means that we've already traveled to different planets, different places in the space, right? We must have.
Yeah.
No, must have. We absolutely must have. If they have the ability to do the things that they're saying they can do and move at the speeds that they can and have no impact on the whatever is inside of them, then we absolutely, you've got to think that they would have gone to the moon. They would have done all this sort of different shit.
Yeah,
There's
the
no
government, if they
way.
figured it out.
There's
That's if
no
they figured it
way
out.
that they haven't done some shit like that. It's impossible. You would say it's absolutely got to be possible, right?
If the government's reverse engineered it successfully.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
So then everything's a psyop.
Yeah.
Then it's none of this is real. It's all just fake. If
Possible.
that is the thing.
But we've got to admit though that the psyop thing is always going to be there. I don't think you asked me now. What you asked me this before as well. What would I need to see to make me certain we're not in a psyop? There's nothing. They can't show me anything. I don't trust what I see.
There's also nothing for me to believe that it's aliens and a genuine UFO.
Do you think aliens have ever come to our planet?
No.
And why not?
I don't. I very, very highly doubt that they have.
Why not?
Why would they have come here and not made themselves aware? I know there's always these
uncontacted tribes, the way that we also don't disturb them either because they might react to hostility.
Fuck, we want to contact them. We want to, but
You
they just
might
don't.
want to,
They
but
just
we
don't
don't.
want us to.
Yeah.
But that's the complete inverse of what we're trying to say here.
I'd say that there is an element of like, if we do know there's a burgeoning alien civilization on another planet, we know it's not advanced at the Stone Age yet. We would have a serious ethical dilemma at our hands. Do we go there and do we interfere? You know we would. It wouldn't be a straight up yes, let's go make contact. It wouldn't be like that. There'd be a big discussion to be had about will this be beneficial for them. We just talked about how poisonous and detrimental self-help merchants are to people actually trying to get better. If you come and you are the fundamental reason why civilization gets formed, you've taken something away from that actual civilization forming itself. They become dependent on you. What, do we start using them for wage slaves? Do you have another H-1B thing for the planet? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not an easy answer how we would, even now, interact with another civilization.
I guess so, but then there's all this stuff tied in between alien abductions, weaponry, all this sort of shit. If we have reverse engineered it, then that means that there is aliens, but they've been here once before, so that means they've contacted us once before anyways. Yeah. If they've come here, that means that we would have interacted with them.
Maybe they have. Maybe that's who gave the Ark of the Covenant to a certain people back in the day. Maybe that's like what all these things are that we hear stories about, guardian angels coming down, giving gifts. Maybe that's what you're seeing. Maybe it is, in every country, maybe in every nation.
Don't you see it's so far-fetched? Like, what I'm saying to you is that if the government has this information... They should have released it by now, and everyone, if you're saying the PSYOP is to get people prepared for it, then it should already be there. You know, how much longer is this going to be dripped out for?
At least another generation. I mean, it's been 3. If you were a young man in 1948 after Roswell, you thought you were a few years away from the government coming clean with it. But Barney and Betty Hill, the story coming out, well, it seemed like, we have these waves of like almost, and then goes quiet. Almost goes quiet. We're in a wave of the almost. We're almost getting disclosure. It's so close. You have Obama, who on record said, look, I can't disclose on UFOs, but there's definitely stuff in our skies that we don't know what they are. You're saying that every time the government says that, they're shooting their own technology. Possible. I say that's actually quite possible. But at the same time...
I would say it's the most likely outcome.
That would probably be the most likely for why the government's doing what it's doing. For sure. They have no reason to tell us anything. If aliens really were here, that's only a threat to government and government authority. Do you know what I mean? It would only hurt and undermine our trust in our government if there's a more powerful, new kid on the block type of thing.
Yeah, sure.
But it's a hard one. It's hard, but when I see stuff like this, for me, it's always like, what would it look like if it was genuine? And I have not had anyone be able to give me a better answer of what it would look like if it was genuine than what we're in. This is the same skullduggery you would expect from the government. It's the same obfuscation you'd expect from the government. Yeah, they'd use it to their own ends. Yeah, they'd use it to shoot their own tech. Yeah, they'll try to shoot it down and reverse engineer it. If it was genuinely happening, this is what you'd get. You get a few people seeing things in the sky they can't understand. You get the most bland reports from the Pentagon that get literally so buried in the news that ABC removes my fucking link within 2 weeks. I put that on there 2 weeks ago. The link's gone. They were forced to start disclosing this and they're already pulling their link after. It's like they just did it and went, okay, it's done, get rid of it. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is what I would expect to see. And my version of Occam's razor is like, yeah, it's the most likely overall, but it's also, are things appearing how they should if it was genuine? That's the bit that's my like barometer. That's my pulse check for it before I even give it any possibility of it being true. And I think this is what actual disclosure would look like. It would be just as messy. It would be just as frustrating. Like, painfully frustrating, especially if me and you have talked about this for years now. Trust me, bro, I hate that I can't come to you and give you better evidence.
Here's the thing, though.
I hate it.
Here's the thing.
Everything's grainy. Everything's fucking Nokia camera. Like, it's
but this is precisely my point, though. If you look at it from the other side, anyone that has this information that wants to do this psyop, you got to understand how good they are at advertising now, right? They put stuff in your field of view without you even knowing how they're doing it, blah, 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 right? And they understand your tendencies and they're catering things to how they want your reality to be able to sell you shit. It's so far advanced that we probably, the deep intricacies that they understand about the human brain, far beyond anything that you could even believe. So if they were going to do the psyop, they already understand exactly what you said. They know exactly how someone of your intelligence would expect things to happen. So of course it's going to happen like that.
The lie would also behave as the truth. That the most convincing lies do look like the truth. I do agree with that as well. That's why I'm also like, okay, both things I can fundamentally see how they could appear this way. But like, I still think it's undeniable that if full disclosure happened right now, we've never been more prepared as a species to handle it. That can't just be by accident. And some people tell me that there's two arguments there. We're being led to believe this, so Project Bluebeam can happen. They can fake an alien invasion and take global government. Yeah, that's one theory. Have you heard about Project Bluebeam?
I have.
So why else are we all more ready to believe in aliens than we ever have been before? Me and you are both just waiting. I think we're both waiting for one clear thing. Like, okay, done, perfect. All the little dominoes were just everything we've talked about. The Calvine incident, all the things we're all about. Once you know they exist, you go, brilliant. Okay, everything finally fucking makes sense. Bob Lazar probably telling the truth. They have had these things. They've been hiding it so they could reverse engineer it. Brilliant. You know what I mean? Everything would just like almost slot in beautifully. Like so perfectly. Would understand.
Like the perfect psyop.
Yes. Like the perfect psyop or the truth.
Or the truth.
The truth does feel like a perfect psyop. The best psyop could be the truth as well.
It could be. Who knows, man? I don't know.
But we are ready for it. Would you not agree with that at least?
I think we are ready for it.
Freak out would happen than any other time.
I absolutely think that we're ready for it. But I have to be skeptical of this shit because I want to believe so bad. It's not like I don't believe. I want to believe, but if I allow myself to go down that rabbit hole, I'm gone, brother. I'm out. Yeah. And I try to pride myself on being as objective about every single possibility, every sort of scenario as I can, humanly can. So if I just go, yeah, it's fucking real, man. Like it's just, there's no credibility to there's no credibility to anything that me and you say or discuss. It's like, what's the fucking
I agree.
point?
I think if you came to me and you said I fully believe in it, you lose credibility with me because I don't fully believe in it either.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm just as open to it being true as I am to it being a psyop.
I'm not open to it.
Both.
I'm not saying that I'm not open to it. I'm just saying, for me to go, yep, it's real. You have to give. I've taken the stance that you need to give me an undeniable amount of evidence so that I'm like, fuck, I can't argue against this.
I'm going to introduce you to my friend Alien and that'll be it.
Just like, that's what I need. I literally need a real alien. Yeah. All right, are we going to call it there or what?
Yeah,
I did have that last one and it's such a fucking good one.
That might be the start of the next one.
Next week, I will do an off the beaten path straight off the bat.
And we'll take off all the ones we have discussed. And
we'll get rid of it and we'll have a whole bunch of fresh stuff.
If you scroll down a bit, I think I had one as well. Yeah. I won't discuss this now, but this would be the one I would want to. Where are we?
I'll click the button. Click and now check it out.
There we go. I still really want to talk about this one. Have you?
Turbo says, "Here's my ET, mate. You believe now?"
Yeah,
It's like,
Turbo, that's what it's going to have to be, man. I'm going to have to explain to this alien that my friend Louis just really needs to see you for himself. Like, he just needs
man.
it.
I'm going to need to see the probe.
Yeah.
I'm going to need to see the probe.
You have to feel that probe.
Yeah, that's right. Dude,
Yeah.
wait, maybe that's why there's been such an insurgence of butt plugs, because they're like, dude, butt plugs have never been more prevalent.
I realize what it is. You probably have this fucking nightmare when you're younger about being probed by an alien, and you're so sure it might be real, and you're like, nah, I need to believe it.
I need absolute evidence.
As soon as real, you're like, fuck, they did do that.
Fuck, they got me.
Motherfuckers
They
got
fucking
caught me
me.
slipping. But have you heard anything about this? I'll discuss it properly next week, but man, like, Brazilian officials literally shut down a BYD factory in Brazil because they were using slave labor, man. They're like seizing people's passports and shit and like making them work insane hours for like no fucking pay.
I didn't hear that.
I'm definitely going to. The investigation's still happening. Like this is pretty fresh.
We'll do it next
Yeah,
week.
we'll do it next week.
We need to get some fucking aircon going in here or something.
100%, man. This humidity today is
it's
killing,
crazy.
Yeah, the temperature's not too high, but fuck.
No, and just Turbo, whilst you're there, mate, is the audio sounding okay? I generally have to do a lot of stuff in post production, and anyone else on X or Twitch or wherever you're streaming from, if you can. Can you see if anyone's actually commented on the post on X? Sure. I know it should come through for us and we should be able to see it anyways, but
sometimes it comes only after we've actually stopped the stream.
That's right. If you guys could just give us any feedback of something you'd like to see, topics, if the audio's bad, if the video quality's bad, what you'd like to see us, what platform. We're trying every week to refine it down and get better and better, and we've got new stuff coming in, so we're trying to take this as serious as possible, and we'll be putting out short form content. We actually have an A.W.S.O clips channel on YouTube now, so if you don't want to listen to the long form content, I'm snipping certain
segments now,
because
we have segments that can actually work. Turbo's just said we're actually sounding a bit quiet, so that's something we can fix, because I think we turned down the gain for the aircon
a little bit quiet.
Yeah,
like really quiet, or I don't know. That's interesting that it's quiet.
We did tweak that downwards a bit, so
yeah, maybe I'll turn it back up.
Can you hear the aircon at all, Turbo, or is it like you don't hear that sound in the background?
It should.
Because I would love to be able to blast this aircon about 10 times when I am.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll have to have a look. Because it's all coming up in the green, but I don't know. It is very strange. No, aircon, sweet.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll give it another.
Cheers.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll have a look and see. Hopefully the audio's not too bad, but
I would love even like for these topics that we have, like we should put so people can see what the sort of broad boxes are. People can put stuff in that they want to contribute to, and we can actually discuss those segments as well.
Well, it'd be interesting for us to do. If you don't follow us on Instagram, we might put up posts and give people the opportunity to actually say what they'd like to see, so then we can actually delve into it and touch on it, because it's really difficult to go into something raw unless it's that we have a new segment we're going to start doing called Coin Toss. Yeah. And we're going to take a topic or a news article, flip a coin, and either one of us has to argue for or against it. Yeah. It's going to be really interesting.
See how well you can steel man something that you don't quite agree with as well.
Agreed, yeah. That'll be
good mental exercise. That we'll see.
All right, everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we will see you guys
next week. We'll try it on the weekend if the weather's good.
Yeah, we'll see how we go.
We'll start a bit earlier, just not melt.
Yeah, slightly earlier. We'll see how we go. But yeah, thanks to everyone tuning in, and take care. Have a good New Year's if we don't see you by then.
Good New Year's, guys.
Peace, and we'll see you 2025.
See you in the new year.
Catch you.